Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll were at the LSU Pro Day, keeping a close eye on Jayden Daniels and Malik Nabers. The Giants have to add some explosive players to their offense this offseason, and those guys, they are some of the most explosive players in this draft. My question to you, though, before we dive into today's show, is who would you rather see on the Giants next year? Is it the explosive wide receiver, or is it the Heisman winner? Type the initials of the guy you want to see playing for Big Blue next year. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. We're going to talk about Jayden Daniels because the Giants did meet with Daniels following his pro day. I'll give you all of my thoughts on him, and I will tell you if I think the Giants should draft him. But I want to start with Malik Nabers because I think it is more likely that Nabers is going to be a Giant, and I thought it was pretty interesting that the Giants, with Joe Schoen, their front office, and Brian Daboll, were in Baton Rouge last night, and they took Malik Nabers out to dinner. Sure, they maybe could have took Jayden Daniels out as well. Maybe he was already booked up and he was going out to eat with the Washington Commanders of the New England Patriots. But I find it interesting that it was Malik Nabers, the player that they took out to dinner. Wonder what they got. Hopefully it was steak. And if it's not medium rare, you are a crazy person. Brian Daboll here, you could see his bald head from a mile away watching Malik Nabers work out at his pro day. And by everyone's estimation, everybody was there. They said he looked great. They said he looked explosive, he lived up to the hype, he looked great in person, and he excelled in all of the drills. Dane Brugler, my favorite NFL draft guy that works for The Athletic, check him out, I think he's the best in the business, said following the pro day, there was belief by people in the building that don't just think that Malik Nabers is wide receiver one, they think he is the best player in the 2024 NFL draft class. And that is major praise from the guy that I believe is the best at doing it when it comes to evaluating players. He more so is saying that is what he has heard, but he also has Nabers as one of the top players in this draft. This is what Nabers was measured at and scaled at when it comes to height and weight, as well as some of the drills he went through at the LSU Pro Day in Baton Rouge. He came in at 6 foot with a fourth of an inch, so almost 6 foot and a half. 199 pounds. He is no small guy. He's beefed up. He's got some muscle on him. He could definitely go and make some contested catches, and he did not disappoint in the 40-yard dash, being clocked at a 4.35. A lot of discussion came out of the pro day about his 40 time. We'll talk about that. He also did 12 bench reps of 225 pounds. Of someone at 200 pounds, that is excellent. And he also jumps out of the gym a 42-inch vertical. The dude is explosive. He is quick. He is underrated when it comes to his strength, and he is going to be a stud in this league. Malik Nabers, though, he feels like he kind of got a little bit maybe shafted, I guess you could say, when it comes to his 40-yard dash. Got clocked at a 4.3, but he thinks that he actually ran a 4.28, which would be one of the fastest 40-yard dashes by anyone in the National Football League. And you know what? I'm not going to doubt him if somebody told him that he did run this time. The guy is special. He's athletic, and anytime he touches the football, he is a threat to go the distance. And the Giants, they have a need for a player like that. Let's be honest. This offense, after losing Saquon Barkley, is not all that explosive. You go out and you add a guy like Malik Nabers, that's going to help. They need a true wide receiver one, and that is exactly what Malik Nabers is. I have him as my second-rated wide receiver in this class, right behind Marvin Harrison Jr., Maserati Marv at Ohio State. I think he's still wide receiver one, but Nabers continues to close that gap, and for the right reasons. He matches everything you see on the practice field as what he did on Saturdays in the SEC the last 2 seasons. The production meets the eye test as well as the testing numbers. The guy is special, ladies and gentlemen. There's a reason that the guy for 2 straight years had over 2,600 yards, 17 touchdowns, and almost over 1,000 yards after catch, and he took it to a different level in 2023. Almost 90 grabs, 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns, 17.6 yards per catch. He is a big play machine. Anytime he touches the football, it's going to most likely result in a big-time yardage gain for your offense. He could do it through the air, running under a deep pass, or he can catch it short and get loose with it. These are some of his advanced statistics that I like to look at. When it comes to having the football in his hands, he is as special as anybody in this class. He forced 30 missed tackles last year for the Tigers, which was number 4 in college football. He had 19 deep catches, number 2 in college football. 624 yards, 3rd in the nation. And he's not someone that you just throw screens to and you let him, eat up easy yards after catch. This is someone, even when he's covered one-on-one, is still open. He had 10 contested catches last year. He can go up, he can climb the ladder, and he could pluck the ball off of a DB's head. He is a do-it-all receiver. He mainly operates on the outside, but because of the strength of his ability to get open and just get north and south after a catch, he can also operate out of the slot. He would walk in and be the Giants' best wide receiver on this team the day that he puts on a jersey. I don't want to be disrespectful to Darius Slayton or Darren Waller or Wan'Dale Robinson or Jalen Hyatt, but those guys just don't possess the same athletic ability that Nabers does. This team definitely needs more production at the pass-catching spot, and Nabers would provide that. I believe he'd be a home run pick if he somehow fell to the Giants at number 6. It would get an A-plus grade for me. I've gone back and forth, and I am making my final declaration. He is wide receiver 2, and he would not be a constellation prize if you do draft him and you don't draft a quarterback. He will be a home run, and I would rather have him on this team than a couple of quarterbacks that are projected to go inside the top 20. If I had to compare him to an NFL paid player, people always ask me, Marshall, what's the Malik Nabers pro comp? What's the Drake May pro comp? So I'll go with this. I believe he plays like a prime Antonio Brown, but maybe more athletic. And I know that sounds crazy. A more athletic Antonio Brown, that may be the best receiver ever. AB was arguably the best receiver in the league for 7 years running. This guy is special. He can run every single route. He puts pressure on DBs. He keeps defensive coordinators up at night. He can catch the ball and go. He can beat you deep. Every route on the route tree is he can run to perfection. I believe he is an Antonio Brown-type receiver, plays bigger than what he is, can line up outside despite being just 6 foot, 200 pounds, but anytime he touches it, he might be dancing in the end zone. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to be live for the entire NFL draft here on Giants Now by Chat Sports. So subscribe and turn the notifications on, and I bet you better see you day one when the Giants select maybe Malik Nabers at pick number 6. Subscribe and turn notifications on. We're going to close the show talking about the Heisman winner, the quarterback at LSU, Jayden Daniels. He supposedly looked great at his pro day today. I went back and watched the tape. The ball, it just flies out of his hands. He's got great touch and fundamentals. Can't wait to break Daniels down around the corner, as the Giants apparently love him. We'll talk about that. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Game Time, the #1 ticketing app in the game. Where are all my baseball fans at? The season is set to get underway, and if you're trying to catch a game, the easiest way to score last-second tickets is with our proud sponsor, Game Time. You can get great deals on last-second tickets and even see your seat view before you buy the tickets. All-in prices show you what you pay without all the hidden fees or expenses, and Game Time has zone deals. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats for an average savings of 18%. You can go to Knicks games, you can go to Yankees games, you can go to Mets games, concerts, theater events, and so much more. I love using Game Time. It is my go-to ticketing app, and I'm telling you, you guys should make it yours. Download the Game Time app in the App Store and use that promo code ChatSports and get $20 off. You get the best seats for the lowest prices guaranteed. Prices drop as the events get closer. They have flash deals and specials all the time. Check them out. Use the promo code ChatSports. All that information will be clickable down in the comments and description of today's show. Alrighty, let's talk about Jayden Daniels, the Heisman winner, a top 5 projected pick, and someone the Giants supposedly love, according to John Frashoa. He tweeted this out over the weekend. He said, breaking, while it's come out that the Giants are upset, someone leaked the J.J. McCarthy story, which was the report from Connor Hughes, which we broke down on this show, where he said the Giants may have their guy in J.J. McCarthy. He said that, and he said, my sources tell me they were even more interested in Jayden Daniels. However, it has become clear to the Giants that Daniels is definitely going in the top 3 of the NFL draft, thus their attention completely turned to McCarthy. So they love him, but they have come to a second plan if he's not available, which tells me if he is, they are going to do whatever it takes to go and draft him. The Giants weren't the only team, though, that met with Daniels following his pro day. There's a lot of other quarterback-hungry teams that would love to get their hands on a Heisman winner. The Washington Commanders, they met with him, as well as the Patriots, the Vikings, who have 2 first-round picks and are trying to trade up, the Denver Broncos, we know Sean Payton wants to get a QB, and Antonio Pierce and the Las Vegas Raiders. AP actually coached Jayden Daniels dating back to their days with Arizona State. Jayden Daniels is a special talent, guys. He is a really, really good quarterback. There's a reason that I have him as my quarterback 3 because I think he's special. I think he'd be the face of a franchise if he goes to the right spot. If he goes to a spot where he has some talent around him, has an offensive line, then keep him clean, let him go through his reads and use him as a rushing threat and a head coach that's open-minded as well as creative and someone that's known for making raw quarterbacks get better in the league, I think Daniels is a great fit for that type of team. Is that the Giants? I think the Giants check a lot of those boxes, but I do have some worries if he is the Giants' next quarterback. He came in at 6'3" and 5/8" and 210 pounds at the pro day today. A lot of people have been worried about the weight or the lack of weight that he carries because he is slim. He is slender. And he's a guy that looks like he could eat a couple more meals. But 210 pounds and almost 6'4", he'll continue to grow. He'll grow up. He'll continue to mature. He's now in a full-time job of the NFL. I don't think weight is that big of a deal for me in my evaluation, at least when it comes to Daniels. I want to take a look at what he's done the last 2 years at LSU. The thing that I like the most about Daniels is the growth that he showed from 2022 to 2023. His completion percentage goes up almost 5%, while his yards per attempt goes up more than 4 yards. His passing touchdowns jumped from 17 to 40, and he still did a really good job of keeping the ball out of harm's way, turning it over via interception just 4 times this year and 3 times last year, 7 times in the last 2 years. But we know how special of a runner he is. Over 1,100 yards last year, 10 touchdowns the year before that, 885 yards, and 11 rushing touchdowns. Here's some more rushing stats for you. He forced 47 missed tackles last year and arguably the best defensive conference in college football. 565 of his near 1,100 rushing yards came after contact. Those are running back type numbers. That's what he is. When he decides to tuck it and run, he is like a running back in the open field, eating up yards, running to green grass, and trying to find pay dirt. He had 41 runs of 10-plus yards and 8 runs of more than 15-plus yards. He is a special runner. 165 missed tackles forced in his career, and he has 721 rushing yards on scrambles. So whether it's a design running play or when things break down, he gets out of the pocket, he can make things shake. Some advanced throwing stats for him, because I don't want people to just believe that he's a guy that runs around all day. His adjusted completion percentage came out to 79.6, which was 7th in college football. He had a big-time throw rate of 8.4. 6th, turnover-worthy play rate. How often does he make a play that is turnover-worthy? Only 1.6% of the time. Tied for the 6th best rank in college football last year. And what he does better than I think anybody in this class is take the top off the defense with his deep ball. Almost 1,400 yards when throwing deep passes, 4th in college football last year. He's a really good player, but he does have some things about his game and really about his story that concern me. He really has 1 season of elite college production, and that came at the age of 23 when it was his 5th year starting. So it took him until he was 23, 5 years in college, and to be surrounded by Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr. until he won the Heisman. Take that how you want. I think he misses some easy reads, and I think he relies on his ability to be an X factor when he tucks and runs the football. It's kind of a double-edged sword because he is the best dual threat in this class. I think he's the best runner in this class, and he is a true guy that could be a part of a running game when you could factor him into your rushing attack. But there's so many times you watch his film and you're like, oh, he's got to make that throw. He's got to make that throw. Hurry up. He's late to it. And he just tucks and runs it and he gets 70 yards. So it's still a plus play when you're grading him out. But I want to see him at the next level take what's in front of it. Trust his eyes and make the easy throws. I think he throws an elite deep ball. I think he can make something out of nothing. Maybe just as good as Caleb Williams. Maybe a step back. And he's played 55 games in his college career, which I love. Experience, he did it at Arizona State. He did it in the SEC. But I worry some that his arm strength is a little bit in question to me. I feel like he has average zip on his intermediate throws. He could throw the hell out of the ball deep. He does that with arc, and he gets a lot of air under it. But he doesn't have a lot of, I would say, juice and zip on his intermediate throws. I say all that to say this. He would be a home run pick at number 6. He is a great player. There's a reason he won the Heisman. There's a reason he's probably going to go number 2 or 3 overall. If you're able to get him at 6, you got your quarterback, and you gave Brian Daboll a guy that has untapped potential. That's the type of blue chip prospect I want Brian Daboll to mold and groom as the potential face of this franchise. You just might have to trade up to go get it. Because I don't see a world where Jayden Daniels falls to 6. There is just, and we say this every year, there's no way this happens. You most likely would have to trade up to do it. Should the Giants do that? Should the Giants move up, push all their chips to the table to go make Jayden Daniels their next quarterback? What do you think? Do you do it? Do you trade up? Let's say pick 4 rolls around, pick 3 rolls around. The Patriots or Cardinals are taking calls. Daniels is on the clock. You supposedly love him. Should you trade up for him? Type T for trade, type P for pass. Woo, woo. We got a Marshall flip-flop alert. A lot of people say I flip-flop. I think when you talk about the Giants every single day, you view Giant statistics, you do research, you uncover new data. And I think if your draft opinions are the same in January as they are in March and April, that means you probably weren't doing much homework. And I have said that I would only trade up for 2 quarterbacks in this class, that being Drake May as well as Caleb Williams. Well, I am changing that. Because if I believe, and I'm just going off what I say, if I believe that Jayden Daniels is a good pick at 6, why would he not be a good pick at 4 or 3? If you think he's a franchise quarterback, you think he's a franchise quarterback. And I do. And I think he fits what the Giants are looking for. And I think that he could spread his wings and blossom under the tutelage of Brian Daboll as well as Mike Kafka. Still got to get way more offensive help. Hopefully you do that in round 2. And hopefully you continue to draft on the offensive line. But I would now trade up for Jayden Daniels, Drake May, and Caleb Williams. Those are only 3 quarterbacks as we film this video here on March 27th that I would move up for. So, for the flip-flop caller-outers, you just got your wish. We flip-flopped. Oh, well. Make sure you are following me over on social media. My mind's going to continue to change. I don't want my takes to stay static. I'm going to continue to do more research and try to give you guys the best takes I can. You can follow those takes over on social media at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up over there. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow live on the channel. Let's go.